I only ever cover, I can't say the word, cover in ganache or ganache and fondant. I never cover in buttercream. I use buttercream in the middle, but not on the outsides. I used to, but I don't anymore. It's too much stress. Same with birthday cakes. I don't do buttercream birthday cakes either. As in buttercream covering birthday cakes. What time is it there? Evening. Six o'clock in the evening. 10! No, Sue, I know what time it is here. What time is it in Australia? Yeah, that's not a different time zone to me, see that one. Milky tea though, I'm pretty sure is Australian, if I'm remembering correctly. So I think it would be 6 PM over there. There or thereabouts. New Zealand, 10:17 PM in New Zealand. God, you're miles ahead of us. 12 hours? Is that right? Where are you, Nucky? Nucky? I'm not sure your name is. 118 in Mauritius. $12:18 PM in Kenya. What time is it in Australia right now, team? What time is it in Australia right now? I thought you were 8 hours ahead of us. Possibly 9, but not 12. Obviously, I know New Zealand is a different country to Australia, but I didn't realise it was that different. Cray cray. $8.90. Yeah, that's more the time I was expecting. Is it? I just assumed that does Australia have different time zones in the same country? I mean, it's a big country, so you're probably going to laugh at me at that question and be like, well, of course it does, Charlotte, but does it? Time zones still blow my mind. The fact that some people, like New Year, for example, New Year happens in Australia almost a day before basically everyone else. And then, like, we'll celebrate New Year, and in America, they're still nowhere near it. It's like, ugh. Really? So some of them change the clocks and some of them don't as well? Just to make it even more confusing.
in love, so in love, 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 so in love. You look so wonderful in your dress. You love your hair like that. In the morning I knew you better.
Shut noisy mutt. Brownies! I love brownies.
My friends in New Zealand wished me a happy birthday last month, 12 hours before we'd...
I thought you meant she wished it you last month, but it's not your birthday till today. I mean, they're not a month ahead, just 12 hours. She wished me happy birthday last month. It's not my birthday till November. Oh, they're the best. I love, my favourite type of brownie is the outside. Like, you know, the outside edges. So you've got like the crispy edges, but you've also got the like gooey middle. I'm not a big fan of just the middle pieces where there's kind of, you've got a little bit of crust on top, but I like the crispy edges. I am a brownie girl over a cake girl. Any day. I would pick a brownie over a cake. Absolutely. Good. But I'm also a little bit of a brownie snob. No, this is a wedding cake. This is the bottom tier of a wedding cake. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a brownie snob. So I am quite picky about what brownies I like and what I don't like. I will never order a brownie in a restaurant because they are usually shit. Every year, I have actually this year as well, bought brownies for Christmas, just for a treat for myself, nobody else, from Jess, one part of Bakery Jess, my dear friend, because honestly, her brownies are so incredible. So I have also bought some this year to be delivered just before Christmas. If anyone does want any brownies, you're UK based and you really want some really, really good brownies, head over to Jess's website, One Part Love Bakery, and get your hands on some. I think that's assuming she's got some left because she was talking about being almost sold out. It's already 3 months before Christmas still, and she's so popular for her brownies. Just keep chasing paper. Ah. Even if I knew my face, should I leave it? I would never do a birthday cake single tier this size, not in a million years. You couldn't pay me enough. No. Actually, that's a lie. I did last year, the year before, did one single tier that was a 9-inch, which is this size, and it was alright. I put flour, it was very floury and everything, but they're just too big and galumpy for a single tier for me this size. Because we're talking 9-inch this is, so it's quite a lot of cake in here. Looks yummy. I'm glad. Oh, Joanne, I received your inquiry. I checked this morning. I have got it. So I'll get back to you probably later today, if not tomorrow, if that's all right. But it all went through. I always use seedless jam. There's nothing worse than eating a cake and getting seeds in your mouth. Absolutely not. Those sponges got. Thank you very much. It's not my first rodeo. The way you move, the way you feel. Does the live get saved anywhere so we can watch again? It doesn't currently, no, because it's not like Instagram, TikTok, where, you know, it saves it on like a video. But my plan is to start saving them or put them over to YouTube. I just need to do it on my iPad because I don't have storage on my phone to download that shit. So on ones like today where I'm simply doing, I'm not on like for hours and hours, I might start uploading to YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, it's Perfect Cakes Co. But I currently don't put anything on it, I only do shorts. But yeah, if people would be interested, the ones like today where we're just doing, it's just a ganaching day and then tomorrow is just fondant, absolutely, I could see if I can get them over to YouTube and then obviously people can then watch it back then. We can't make the live. I mean, I'm not gonna bother, I don't think I'm gonna bother like editing it and all that crap. I'll just, you know, upload the raw video. But let me know your thoughts. Hello, thank you for the heart me purple daffodil. So we've got a ganache plate on the bottom of this one. So we're now going to add a ganache plate on the top of this one so that we can fill it in. Hold on a minute. Hello! Ganache. So this is our bowl of ganache we made yesterday. You'll see now it's gone really firm. Well, I just haven't got time to like edit in. I mean, maybe I will, who knows? Because I have so much time in my life. I'm gonna go pop this in the microwave to remelt some of it in order to ganache this cake, so I'll be straight. I've just been showing my husband. I've ended up on Instagram, on the side of Instagram, where I just get all like the videos of like parenting, but like, you know, jokes about just kids being a parent. And one of them was being a parent and the kids just not telling you anything about their school day. It's just showed it to him. It's funny. Oh, well, this hasn't gone well, has it? We've got a very melted bit, we've got a not very melted bit, and we've got a spatula that doesn't friggin' work. Hang on. I need to find another spatula. Where are all of my spatulas? They're all... So effectively what we're doing, there is some more melted stuff in here and there's some less melted stuff. The more melted stuff is effectively split, the less melted stuff is too firm. So what I'm effectively doing is mixing the two together to make the perfect consistency. So that it is all melted the perfect amount. Any lumps that are in it, which will just be less melted chocolate. So it's not really the end of the world. Don't mind me, say boy, let's not talk too much. Mm-hmm. 2 to 1 for milk and dark chocolate. If it's covering milk and dark chocolate ganache you're talking about. If you're doing a filling ganache, then it will be slightly more cream, less chocolate, because obviously you don't want it to be as firm. So I made a filling one yesterday, and it's I don't even know what ratio I did. I kind of just guessed, to be honest. I don't have a specific bad shot. For coating, 2:1 ratio for dark and milk, and 3:1 ratio for white. Am I freezing for anyone else? Let me know if it's still being dodgy. Should be alright. It's not freezing, I'm okay. Fine flu, okay. Milk and dark chocolate, 2:1 ratio. What about using ganache that won't cream got off quickly? So the cream has formed an emulsion with the chocolate, which will make it last longer than fresh cream would itself. So as long as once you've used it, you store it in the fridge or the freezer, if that's what you want to do, you should be absolutely fine. Obviously, on a cake, you wouldn't want to leave it out for more than a couple of days, out, you know, at room temperature. Definitely have to top this up a bit and take it off. Some people can see fine, some people are struggling. Dark and milk, 2:1. White, 3:1. Only know you love when you let go. Obviously, you need to make sure that your ganache plate is level with the bottom one. I can't have all this noise in the background. Hang on, let me just turn this music off because Alex has got the telly on. It's too much. Make my son's birthday cake. I've frozen the cake. Will it be okay to decorate 2 days before? Yeah, absolutely. It'll be absolutely fine. Any tips for keeping it moist? If you've used a good recipe, it should be absolutely fine. Just always make sure you keep it covered. Whether that's covered like in cling wrap before you've iced it, or make sure it's fully sealed with the icing that you're using, whatever that is, whether it's buttercream or ganache or fondant. Hopefully you will put something under the fondant. As long as it's sealed, it should stay nice and moist. You should be absolutely fine. Just don't want the air to get to it. No need between anything between the ganache plates and glass. It's got a piece of grease proof between the ganache plate and the cake. And the ganache, sorry. For filling, I don't really have a set, like, this is how much I do, but I always just make it a bit softer. But I don't have a set amount. You wouldn't want it to go really creamy. I mean, the one I made yesterday, this one, which is dark chocolate, is quite soft still, you'll see, and probably slightly softer than I would have liked it, but it'll be fine because once obviously it goes in the fridge, it will firm up again. And I think this was 2 to 1 would have been, it was probably around 50-50. I haven't got a completely set amount. How are you going to ice the whole cake if the base is the size of the cake already? So this has a ganache plate around the outside of it, which is 0.25 mils thicker, wider than the base of the cake. So effectively, when I add the ganache to it, it will be 2.5 millimeters thicker than the cake. That's how. When I'm using ganache plates. When I'm not using ganache plates and I'm just freehanding it, I can just ice around cake because I've done it for a long time. So I don't have to use anything as a guide, so I just ice around the outside of the cake effectively. Still a few chocolate lumps in here. Well, they're not lumps, they're just slightly less melted ganache. If you stick around, I will be freehanding one of the smaller tiers in a bit, so you'll get to see what it's like ganache plating, but also what it's like freehanding it as well. Thank you. They do, absolutely, yeah. If you've got quite a high kite, well, they do and they don't. Like, the ratios for covering, I use the same ratios regardless of whether I'm using just a compound chocolate or whether I'm using a curvature Belgian chocolate. And obviously the curvature chocolates have a higher, usually have a higher either cocoa content or cocoa butter content. It usually can slightly affect the stability, but it's more like to affect the amount of how often it splits because of the fat content in it effectively. What ratio are you using of the white chocolate ganache? Out of curiosity. Morning! Thank you for your heart me, Terry. Tips for making Victoria's sponge moist. Use a good recipe. My recipe can be bought, link in bio if you want. Don't overbake. Bake low and slow. Overbaking is the main reason why cakes will become dry. Or bad recipes. But mainly overbaking. Sometimes that can be down to the recipe because they tell you to cook it on too high a temperature for too short a time. Low and slow is what you always need to remember with cakes to get the moistest and flattest sponges as well. So if your sponges are always domed, it's likely you need to turn your oven temperature down. Can you please repeat the ratio for white chocolate ganache, please? 3 to 1 ratio. I'm good, thank you, Chef Tony. Chuck even, probably 75. Chick. 75, what do you mean? You need to have a 3-to-1 ratio. If you go to my videos, pinned, my 2 pinned videos on TikTok, there's 3, but 2 of them, one of them is how I make white chocolate ganache and one of them is how I use it. So do go check those out because it tells you all the ratios and things on there as well. Baking a wedding cake. What's the wedding cake going to look like? What's it like? What sort of cake is it? Definitely some lumpy bumpies in here. Because I did such a big bowl, and rather than what I usually do, which is melt it sort of a bit at a time, I've just decided to try and melt it all in one go. Which always means you'll get some slightly less melted bits in with the more melted bits. No, this one's going to be covered in fondant, but it's going to be it's a quite basic fondant cake, this one. I know, for me, it's very basic. So effectively, it's just going to have white fondant in slightly standing up above the cake, but not like a full-on architectural style. And then it's having the wedding date in numbers at the bottom. So instead of the Roman numerals that I do quite a lot, we're just doing the wedding date. And then I'm dressing it with some faux flowers that they are supplying on the day. So quite a basic cake, this one, like a nice sort of simple, elegant vibe for this one. With filling in set for, no I didn't, no. No, the cake was chilled, so it was a chilled cake that I used in the first place. I always make sure cakes are either chilled or frozen. I'll never decorate from room temperature because that's how you get wobbly, wibbly, cakes. Marble design fondant, black, gold, white colour. Oh, amazing. So yeah, the cake is was chilled, which will help to sort of set the buttercream ever so slightly when it starts being put on and when we start filling and layering it. And the buttercream that I use is always firm. It's quite firm, like it's not really soft like you would to cover in buttercream. And I think that's a lot of the issue that a lot of people use with buttercream is they make their buttercream really soft, and then it becomes very difficult to manage when you're filling a cake with, because everything goes all a bit wibbly wobbly. Obviously as well with ganache, this is ganache that's being covered in. Ganache sets firm, so it will already have started setting as I'm doing this, which will be helping to hold it nice and stable as well. Yeah, absolutely. I freeze all of my 4 and 5 inch cakes and any carrot cakes because they're just so soft, and I decorate directly from frozen, yes. It makes life, especially with the smaller tiers, if you do small tall tiers, my god, it makes life so much easier to do it from frozen. Because they're so tall and wobbly, it can be a practical nightmare sometimes. No, ganache wasn't frozen, just the sponges. Well, these sponges weren't frozen, but no, the ganache isn't frozen. But you can freeze ganache. So if you've got any left over, you can absolutely freeze it to use it another time. I wouldn't usually use frozen ganache or buttercream on wedding cakes, purely because they might want to freeze it afterwards. Now, you can refreeze sponges, but you can't refreeze the filling, or you're not supposed to. It's not going to kill anyone. But you're not supposed to refreeze filling, but you can refreeze sponges. So obviously freezing the sponges and then decorating is absolutely fine. Your customers can still refreeze it, but freezing buttercream and ganache is not ideal. So which is why I only ever, if I freeze buttercream or ganache, I only ever use them then on occasion cakes, because generally with occasion cakes it all gets eaten, it doesn't get frozen. It's not like a wedding cake where sometimes they have some left over. Hi, how to tell if your buttercream is too warm to go into cold cake? Beginner here. Your buttercream, what sort of buttercream do you mean? What sort of buttercream do you mean? By it being warm, do you mean you're making sort of Swiss meringue, that style, or what do you mean, sorry, by too warm? Oh, just sorry, Sue, if you're asking any questions. Are you sure? Sue, are you just being? What are you doing again? Break it down in words, Sue, like you did last time. You know, 1 word per comment, and see if we can answer it. Think butter was too soft. This is ganache. This isn't buttercream, but American buttercream. Unless you've literally melted your butter, just room temperature butter shouldn't be too soft. What's the ratio you're doing for your butter and, hang on. What's the ratio you're doing for your butter and icing sugar? Sorry, I'm just getting rid of some spam. Question, but it's got up twice. I'm so sorry, Sue. There's so many questions coming in, which is fabulous because we've almost got 1,000 people watching. Okay, you need to double the amount of icing sugar. So you need to have double the amount of icing sugar to butter. That will be why your butter icing is so loose. So double the amount of icing sugar, so you've got a 2-to-1 ratio. That should help. Best way to make buttercream? It depends on the type of buttercream you're talking about. If you want just a basic American buttercream, then all you need to do is get your butter, whisk it. That's a whisk and mix it. Mix it in your mixer or with a hand mixer for a good 5 minutes until it becomes slightly white and fluffy. Then what I do is I add half of my icing sugar, mix it again, and then add the other half. And there should be double the amount of icing sugar to butter in it. Some people then like to add things like cream or milk or things like that. You can do if you want to make it looser. I don't. I just have the 2 ingredients and then I flavour it if I want it like chocolate or lemon or whatever. And then if I need it looser, I actually just add a little bit of warm water to it and mix it in. I don't cover in buttercream. So I never have to make like a really loose buttercream to cover with because I only put it inside. It's about how you're going to cover with fondant. Panel way. Yes, panel way, Sue. This will be panelled. So it will, because it's going to have the fondant standing up above the cake slightly. It's not like a massive one, just a little bit on each row. I will have to panel it. I would panel it anyway. But yes, I will be panelling this one, Sue. How do I get ganache so white? This is just natural ganache. I haven't done anything to this. I use a whisk, not to whip it. It's not a whipped ganache, but it does definitely whiten it a little bit because it obviously aerates it ever so slightly. Yeah, this is just my natural ganache. But to make it whiter, which I do for like outer layers of whitened ganache, I use a whitener called Ingenious Edibles for that. I'm trying to keep up with questions, so I apologise if I miss any. I saw one. Do I ever get ganache cracking? I personally don't know, and the only times I have is definitely been in very hot summers. But normally, no, I don't. Sorry, that's not very helpful if you do. How you can't really avoid cracking. Some people say put glucose in your ganache. I need to try that method, but I don't get cracked ganache. I got one for the first time in a very long time this summer. I did do a video on it, so go and have a check it out if you can find it. It's probably 10 or so back, maybe more. I can't remember. But I did do one where I got this massive crack in one of my wedding cakes, and I talked a little bit about it on there. So if you go and check that out and see if that's all helpful. But like I say, it's not something I get massively a lot, really, on my cakes. It's usually to do, there's multiple reasons that kind of work together. It can be your ratio, your recipe, your method of making it. It can be humidity, it can be a temperature change, like a temperature shock. It can be the stability of the sponges and the buttercream inside. Like, there's so many contributing factors that can cause it that it's very hard to say exactly why it is to try and avoid it. My ganache never melts fully and always has choco lumps in it. I always have to use immersion blender. Is that when you're first making it, or is that when it's you're remelting it? And how are you making it? I've got 2 videos on my grid pinned to the top. One is how I make my white chocolate ganache and one is how I use it. Go and have a look and see if you do it the same way. And if not, there may be some tips on there that will be helpful to help with it. If it's curdling, that's likely because it's being overheated, which if you're getting lumps in it and you're getting stuck with these lumps, that's probably why you're then heating it too much to try and get rid of the lumps, and then it's splitting effectively. This is white chocolate ganache, this isn't buttercream. Is ganache easy? Yes. When you've practiced it and you get to know it, absolutely it's easy. And I find it easier than buttercream because it sets, so you've got a bit of a easier surface to work with. You don't have to worry about constantly denting the underlayer. When you do the next layer, it stays firm at room temperature. So once you've done it, it's done, it's set, and you don't need to worry, like, you know, if you knocked a finger into it or anything like that, that it's going to leave a dent or anything, which is really nice about ganache. And obviously I always use ganache under fondant. There is absolutely no compromise on that. So a pure British accent. I'm scraping because I keep adding ganache to parts of the sorry, I missed that. White chocolate ganache, I use Belcolade chocolate from Henley Bridge, which is a Belgian chocolate, but to be completely honest, you know, any white chocolates will be fine if you follow the right methods. Okay, she's pretty smooth. So this top ganache plate will come off when the cake's set. Apparently we are moving across the board. It's okay. So what I'll do now is this one will go back into the fridge, leave it to set. And then once the ganache is set on it, I will take the 2 ganache plates off, which is this one and the one at the bottom. And finish off the top, because sometimes the top needs a little bit of touching up. Under the disc, I've got greaseproof sheet that is slightly smaller than the size of the cake. This one will have sugar paste on, yes, but not till tomorrow. No, I don't remelt. It's the first, and I heat the cream separate and add it to the chocolate. Okay. Go and have a look at my video of how I make it if you've got a microwave, because I never have any issues with that ever. So go and check that out, pinned on my grid. 3-to-1 ratio. Yes, I'm going to add sugar paste. This design is just quite a basic one, this one. It's just a nice, elegant, white, simple design. I'll show you. But it's not having the ribbon. We're not doing the ribbon. So that it's very simple. I know for me, this is blowing my mind. It's very simple. This is just easy bread and butter for me, which is good. So that's the cake. So it will be standing up above the cake slightly to add a little bit of interest. Cake covering cakes. The more you do it, the easier it will get, the more comfortable you get with it, I promise. My acrylic plates, I get all of these from, I got these many years ago from Cake Decorating Company. So from there, I mean, you can buy them individually, sizes, but I actually bought like the full odd set and the full even sets, round and square. And if I don't use them for ganache plating, this is also a ganache plate underneath because I never make cakes this big. So I use them as like base plates as well when I'm doing my tiers. It is for a wedding, absolutely. Right, I'm gonna go pop this one in the fridge and then we will start on the red velvet, the middle tier, next. You can, I would suggest if you're going to use that method, you actually do it the opposite way. You do the ganache underneath and then buttercream on top. However, if you can do 2 layers of ganache, I would also suggest doing that because you will have a more stable cake. if you've got a valid reason for wanting to do buttercream on top, I haven't worked out the valid reason yet that people have. The only reason I can think that people would do ganache underneath and buttercream on top is for whitening, because in some countries you can't use E171, which is the whitener that we use here in the UK, and obviously buttercream you can get whiter from just mixing it than you can ganache. So I guess that's the only reason, but other than that, I'm not really sure why people do the combination. Since when have you been making cakes? I have been baking for 16 years and doing this professionally for 10 now. It's quite a long time. Quite a while. When did you make the cake wonky? They taste weird if you made them long ago. When did you make the cake? Won't they taste weird? Sorry, I'm just trying to dictate predictive text. I made this cake. This cake was baked yesterday. The wedding is Sunday. Absolutely not. As long as they are covered, whether that's in cling wrap, whether that is in buttercream or ganache or fondant, as long as they stay covered and sealed and you've used a good recipe, they will stay perfectly good and moist. Cakes won't go mouldy unless you keep them in a really wet environment, but they generally dry out. It would be the moistness you'd have to worry about as opposed to them going bad, as people say. Yes. If I add heavy cream to my buttercream, can it stay out the fridge? Not really. Not ideal if you add cream. Obviously with ganache, the cream has been effectively warmed, heated, emulsified. So it's slightly different, but with buttercream, if you're just adding it in and it's not being cooked or heated or anything like that, it will need to be in the fridge. Yes, they will absolutely still taste fresh. My usual wedding cake time scale is 5 days. So usually 5 days? 5 days from start to finish. So bake on day 1, ganache day 2, decorate day 3 and 4 and deliver day 5. That's my standard. And I would not be in business still after this time if that didn't work. So that's the response to that one, I guess. Whenever people say that, I'm like, yep, I wouldn't be in business if it didn't work, I promise. There is a misconception very much so that cakes like last a day and then you can't eat them anymore. Like my recipes generally, if I've got offcuts, they will last me 2 weeks and still be amazing as long as they're kept in an airtight container and sealed. So if I understand well, you prefer to make the red velvet 2 days before the final day. I make all of my cakes prior to the final day. The level of decoration that I normally do, I absolutely could not be baking on the day before a wedding. Tiered cakes take time, quite a long time, and to do it all properly and well, it does take multiple days. So if anybody's saying to you that they're baking a 3-tier cake the day before your wedding, then do question how good the quality is going to be, is what I'll say about that. Cakes also take a lot longer than people think. People think that you can just bake a cake and then straight away... We are, what's the word, like misled significantly by shows like Great British Bake Off, because they have to make a cake in 4 hours and that includes baking and decorating and all of that sort of stuff, and that is completely unreasonable, and that is why a lot of their cakes look absolutely shit and fall over. Because realistically, everything needs time. Everything needs time. You need time between layers. You need time from baking to cooling. You need time to chill the cakes. You need time. And it just can't be done well in a day. It can be done, not well. If the cake is 1 layer, do you used to make it in 1 day? What sort, like a tray bake, you mean? Is that what you mean? Like, it's to do with the time that it takes to decorate the cake effectively, is how long it would take to make. You know, if it's a single layer and you can bake it, leave it to cool all day and then decorate it the same day, absolutely, you could do that in 1 day for a single layer, but do you mean a single layer or a single tier? There's a difference. This is a layer, this is a tier. We are not machines, cakes need time, exactly. How long from the time of decoration should you wait for it to have been defrosted and moist? I decorate from frozen if I've frozen the cake. So if the cake has been frozen, I will decorate it while it's still frozen. But it would only take around 30 minutes to 45 minutes to thaw out if you did want to wait till it thawed out before you decorated it. It doesn't take long at all for cake, it's very quick defrosting. Yes, this is the second tier of a 3-tier cake. No, this is just a vanilla. I can't use cream cheese in my icing because it is it's going to be out at a wedding, so I can't leave it out for more than 2 hours, and this is going to be fondant covered. So this, once I finish decorating it, will stay out until the next day. So I'll fondant it tomorrow. It will go in the fridge tonight, I'll fondant it tomorrow, and then it will stay out and be delivered. So it'll be out for 2 days. So obviously we can't have cream cheese out of the fridge for that long. So that's why most wedding cake makers will tell you that they won't use cream cheese frosting in wedding cakes. Is it possible in one day? One cake? It is possible to do a cake okay in one day, that's what I'll say. It's not possible to do a really good cake in one day. That's how I would describe it, I guess. Unless you're talking a whole 24-hour day. Thank you. You're pretty good, aren't I? Right, top ganache plate next. Oh my god, even if it's just a little cake. Like, well, this is the thing, it depends what it is. Cupcakes, yeah, because they don't take long to bake or cool. And then you can just shove some buttercream on them. A cake this size, if I'm then decorating it as opposed to just leaving it like this. If I was leaving it like this and putting some berries on, absolutely you could do it in a day. But if I'm then adding ganache and fondant and some decorations, definitely not. I need this chocolate. This is a red velvet cake actually, as opposed to a chocolate cake, but you can get all my recipes, including the red velvet and my chocolate cake, on my website, link in bio, if you are interested. Right, so... Struggling to get a smooth and neat looking cake. What medium are you using to do that? How long would you need to order? Every cake maker is different. For me personally, if it's within 2 weeks, I probably won't be doing it. So I get very fully booked up. Obviously I'm a wedding cake maker, so therefore next summer already is looking pretty full. So I always say to people, if you want me to make your cake, get in touch with me as soon as possible, because I may not have availability, but I wouldn't do a cake in less than 2 weeks lead time normally, unless I literally have time, have nothing else to do, and usually it's someone that I've made it for before. Thank you very much. It's possible to do 1-tier cake in one day, and it's possible to do it good and tasty. I'm not saying you can't make a tasty cake in one day. I'm just saying, depending on what the decoration you want, you can't make it look really good in one day. I'm not saying you can't bake it in one day. Absolutely you can bake a cake in one day. But you just... Go look at my cakes. You can't make them in a day. Okay. Using a scraper. Have you got a metal turntable? That's the first question. And what medium are you using? How long can it last in the freezer? 6 months. I'll be back in a sec. I'm just gonna... Scrapers. So I use these Finch Bakery scrapers. Annoyingly, they don't make them anymore. But that's what I use. I always use a metal scraper. You want it to have a little bit of flex in it, but not a lot. It's got too much flex, you'll actually struggle because it will flex when you pull. And it needs to be straight and flat. I always put mine on the counter to check that it's actually flat. Obviously this is a very big one, you can get much shorter ones, but I would personally recommend a metal one, if you can. My turntable is one that you can get on TikTok Shop. In fact, if you're UK based, go onto TikTok Shop, and it is the Uton one. It's under £30, it's brilliant. I use it, I did originally buy the same one off the rainforest place that we buy everything from nowadays, but they've got it on TikTok Shop now, so go and have a look. That is the turntable that I'm currently using, and it's currently on a flash sale for £22. So if you're UK based, what can we say? Get it in your basket. You do also get a load of other stuff with it, by the way. That's not just the turntable, which when I bought it, I genuinely thought I was just getting the turntable for that price. I was like, bargain. But then actually it turned up and it had a load of other stuff with it as well, which I genuinely was not expected. There we go. The basket is next to the text box for anyone interested. Is 3 weeks before good, or do people usually order like 6 months? 100%. I've got obviously wedding bookings for the next 2 years, but I've also got birthday cake bookings for next year booked in already. So yeah, 3 weeks if I can fit it in, but the chances of my availability is obviously lower. So the sooner the better. With that, where are my, is that 6 inches? Oh, here it is. Okay.
They passed the test in Australia. They're using the same wing as Australia here, and they passed the test here as well. So they are not affected by
The most important thing when you are doing cake decorating, if you are struggling to get smooth finishes and things, is absolutely make sure you're not using a plastic turntable. They are not the same. And I know people might say that and you might think it's just a sales tactic. It is 100% not. This is so smooth. A plastic one, you have to like keep doing this to make it spin. It's just a nightmare. You want a really smooth running one. Good morning. Oh, if you're in Finland, I'm sorry. I think obviously with TikTok Shop it's only in the UK, but you could try on, like I say, that didn't work, did it? You could try on the site that, you know, is also called a rainforest that we buy off regularly, and see if there's one on there. You could try the same brand, which is Utan, U-T-A-N. It's not the brand, they're the seller. Because obviously different countries are different. Carbon fibre.
One direction will be stronger than another. There's lots of flexibility in how they can use this material. It's very, very flexible for these types of components.
So I'm just putting my top ganache plate on. So if you do struggle to get a smooth finish and you've tried and tried freehand and you really struggle, then this might be an option for you, is using ganache plates. So watch along. Yeah, I just put the baking parchment on, which was an inch smaller. So this is a 7-inch cake. I put a sheet of 6-inch baking parchment, and then I've just put the ganache plate on top of it. So effectively the ganache plate is stuck just around the edge. How do I make the ganache? There is a video pinned in my videos of how I make the ganache. How do I remove them? I wait till the ganache is fully set. And then when it's fully set, I will flip the cake upside down, remove the bottom one, flip it the right way up, and run a knife underneath the top plate so that it goes between the baking paper and the plate, because it's only that much stuck around the edge, and remove it that way. And then I usually then just tidy up any bits that need tidying up after that. Yes, I am going to Cake International. I will be there on the Saturday afternoon. Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock, I will be on Prop Options stand doing a demo. So if you're there on that afternoon, please do come and say hello. And on the Sunday, I'll be there all day, and I will be doing a demo on the main stage at 10 a.m. So 10 a.m. Charlotte's coming down. 10 a.m. on the main stage, I will be doing a demo. Then 12, I will be on the Saracino stand for a couple of hours doing, they're like one-to-one little tutorials. I'm going to be showing how to make my orchid, wafer paper orchid. And then 2, I will be on Prop Option stand. So you'll be able to find me, but I will post where I'll be nearer the time. So you'll be able to track me down if you want to come and find me and say hello. It's always nice to meet people that I speak to online, but not in person. So I've got 2 acrylic plates. There's an acrylic plate at the bottom, and there's an acrylic plate at the top. So 2 ganache plates, effectively. When I'm using ganache plates, the last cake that we'll do freehand, so you'll see that. Nothing else with this cake today. This will have the ganache plates put on. This will have the ganache fully put on. I've got another tier to do as well, which will also have ganache plates, ganache put on, and then I also need to buttercream some cupcakes for my son's school to take in on Tuesday, which will then get frozen. And then that's it for today. Tomorrow then I will be fondanting this cake. So make sure you're following me if you would like to see this cake be fondanted tomorrow, if that's even a word. Covered in fondant. Fondanted. An adjective.
I know a lot of guys in the team just enjoy it. It's a nice way to get together, because when we get in the paddock, it's all about work. Everybody is more serious, probably more pressure, etc. So at least we go out there, also build memories, because actually being sometimes you go out there and you get
Okay. In your cake, to get it higher, you use fake parts.
I don't know.
I sometimes use dummies, not in many wedding cakes. Most wedding cakes will be real cake, most of the time. There are a few occasions here and there where we use dummies for various reasons, but most of the time it's real, but absolutely you can use dummies. And I'm actually in talks at the moment with somebody who's going to be at Cake International this year. They approached me recently about eco-friendly dummies that they've created. So rather than using polystyrene dummies, and I'm really intrigued by that, because that's the one thing I do dislike. I mean, I reuse my dummies a lot, but obviously it's not as eco-friendly. So these ones are ones where you basically, the couple, so if I was to use them in a wedding cake, for example, the couple can plant the dummy afterwards and it's seeded inside, so they can then like plant their dummy and grow flowers from it, which just sounds incredible. Obviously they're not going to probably be as cheap as polystyrene dummies, but the idea to me of less plastic in this world, I'm 100% on board with. So I'm really intrigued to see those. She's going to send me more details about those, and yeah, I would love to have that, because that's one thing I don't like about using dummies is the plastic side. With my own dummies, the ones I use in my studio, it's absolutely fine because I reuse them, but obviously when it goes to a wedding, normally that's the one-time use. Where did she come from?
What's it like on the flag since he's come in?
Yeah, flag is a very interesting
Where did you come from? Where did you go?
over a year that we worked together, and I must have a very good relationship with him. I really
I will be scaring people probably. Cakenstein collab. Oh, that's amazing! Is that the one in the bit where they do the scary stuff, or is that like on its own, if you know what I mean, like its own entity? Is that in the, I don't know what they're calling it this year, Scare Hall of Fame or something, isn't it?
not only one, but many things come in his life, and at this age he could just chill at the beach and relax and lay low, but that's not him, and that's exactly what we need. We need a leader, someone to push the team forward, and he's got the experience, he's won in Formula 1, and I can see he's really doing the best things to where we want.
Is this year kind of like a transition year for us?
It is a really cool idea and I'm very intrigued by it, I have to say. Apparently they are going to be at Cake International this year, so yeah, I'm really interested. I might actually get in touch with them thinking about it and see, actually no, I need to try them first really before demoing with them, but I'd be intrigued to try them at Cake International with some of my demos. That sort of thing I'm always happy to discuss, because if it works and I absolutely will use it in my business, I just think it's just so much better for the planet, isn't it? Let's be honest.
The performance we accepted to kind of,
The other issue I've got is that I need to speak to them about is the height of their dummies, because all their dummies that I've seen so far are quite shallow, and obviously for me that wouldn't work. So it's whether they've got the capacity to do different sizes as well, in the way that we have that sort of option with normal dummies. You know, we've got a lot of options with sizes.
no matter what the reason we fight for, it's just keep standards as high as possible. So when we get the car,
Love that.
we need to change our operations, and but then yeah, for 26 expectations are even towards the it's gonna be a big year.
It depends what you're covering it in. My fondant dummies, I've still got some in my studio from 2 years ago. Obviously fondant sugar, it doesn't go bad, it just goes a little bit dusty if it's left there for a really long time. If you're using like buttercream on it, and ganache, generally it dries out. Like, it doesn't tend to go mouldy because obviously in order for something to go mouldy it needs moisture. Whereas when things are just left out in the air, can you see on here, there's like a little bit here where obviously this cake must stick out slightly further than the others. So I'm just going to cut that away because I don't want to have any thin levels of ganache that can create any instability in this cake. So all I'm going to do is basically, with a sharp knife, just cut it out and then refill it back in. This better not be on now. I haven't watched this.
She's making an absolute mockery of the experiment.
Oh, that's alright.
Hey guys, it's me, Molly May, and today it's laundry day again. My current obsession, the Persil non-bio and comfort pure cleanser range.
But yeah, with ganache or fondant, with ganache or buttercream, it will still last quite a while. It will just slightly not be as great with regards to, like, it will gather dust and things a lot worse. There's not really much you can do to clean it and tidy it up. Hello Ness, how are you? Happy Friday. Friday. So this bad boy's almost done, and then we're going to be doing the last 5-inch. And then once that's done, we're going to be sticking some buttercream on the little cute cupcakes that we've got. And then I think we're pretty much done for the day. Quick job today. Half day Charlotte, they'll start calling me. I say done for the day, I've got lots of work to do, just not cakes. Hi Chris, how are you? Thank you for the heart me. What are you up to today, Ness? Are you on a live? I'll watch you later if you are.
Late nights on the business scope, downstairs toilet with the fancy stuff, nursery flu, hypoallergenic cough, conference call,
Shut up, £16! Guys, I'm not even being dramatic here because there are turntables, metal turntables on the market in the UK. I won't say the brands, but one of them is LL and one of them is begins with A. And they are £90. And I'm not kidding you when I say absolutely do not spend £90 on them, okay? Go and get this one, apparently, that's linked in the basket somewhere on this page for like 22, potentially £16, or on the Rainforest site that we all shop on for under 30. Honestly, like, it blows my mind that people are still spending that amount of money. Don't get me wrong, like, I am all for supporting. These aren't small businesses though that we're supporting with the big, ridiculously expensive ones, but you don't need them. I have been using these turntables for so many years and they are brilliant. You absolutely do not need to spend £90 on a turntable, and do not do it. Do not do it. I pray you do not do it. If it's because it looks pretty or something, that's a different thing. But if it's just because you want a decent turntable, no. No, 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 no. Do not spend over 30 quid on them. This is the full coat of ganache because this is going to be fondanted. So I don't really do like crumb coat, top coat with ganache when I'm fondanting it. I just do, especially when I'm using ganache plates, just a thick layer of ganache. I say thick, it's not thick, it's maximum 0.25 inches because that's how big the ganache plates are. But yeah, I don't really do like crumb coat and then another coat. I just put them all on. Think my exactly. Please do. Well, I mean, I'm not encouraging it, but absolutely, I'm keen for that if you want to. 100%. I do lots of classes, but I do Zoom classes, Zoom one-to-ones. I've just launched them on my website. So if anybody is interested in that, if you're not in this country and you think I can't come to a one-to-one class with me, then please do look at that. You're not being ignored. There's just so many comments that I'm missing it. Sorry. What was the question? Pop it in again. It very much depends on what board you have. So if you have a good quality masonite board, an MDF board, yes, you absolutely can decorate onto that board if it's a single tier cake. But if you are using the silver boards, if you are using cheaper boards, no, because you will scrape it, it won't be cleanable, then just not very good. So it very much depends on what boards you're using. How do I take off the acrylic top? So this will be set in the fridge now until it's completely set. Then have a good day, Ness. Girl, I'm hungry. Eating for two now, Ness, that's what you'll be told. I will basically flip it upside down, take the bottom plate off, flip it back up the right way, and then I'll run a knife underneath here, which will go under the ganache plate over the top of the grease-proof sheet, spin it round, and then it will come straight off. And then I'll just tidy up anything on the top that I need to. Yeah, go to my website. If you go into the link in my bio, there's loads of details on there about my classes, there's prices and everything, so do have a little look. And obviously you're more than welcome to contact me on my website on the contact form, link in bio, to have a chat if you wanted to. Not a problem at all. Anab, I can't see a question of yours coming through, so either you haven't rewritten it or it's being filtered because I can't see it. Sorry. Right, that one is done. So we've just got the 5-inch tier to do now on top. I'm just gonna get this last bit of, for some reason there's smash down there. I do not ship to New York. I say that, but I am potentially making a wedding cake that's being shipped to the US next year, but it's a dummy painted cake, but I still need to work out logistics of that. How long do you wait for the ganache to set? Well, before I take the ganache plates off, it will depend. You can do it in 30 minutes. You can, because in classes, that's what I have to do because we have a time limit. However, if you've got the time, at least 2 hours. Because if you take it off when it's not fully set, it's just a bit messier and you have to do a lot more touch-ups. Whereas if I will take this off tomorrow, they will be so lovely and set that it will be really easy to finish off. You can just if it's not fully set, you can just, cause yourself more problems. So the chocolate cakes are chilled, and with my chocolate cake recipe, thank you very much. With my chocolate cake recipe, because it has real chocolate in it, when you chill them, they go really firm. Don't panic. They soften again when they get to room temperature. But the great thing is it makes them really nice and easy to work with. But what we need to do first is we need to chocolify. Chocolify? Is that a thing? This buttercream. So I'm going to add some cocoa to it. And I'm going to stick it, I think, back in the mixer. Actually, no, I might just use my strong hand to do it. I don't have a strong hand, so that will be fun. Oh, the husband's disappeared back upstairs. I always find my chocolate cakes don't rise as well as my others. What's the recipe? Sometimes the cocoa powder can obviously be quite heavy and that can kind of make it flatter. Maybe try adding a little bit more rising agent to it, if that is the case. Yeah, it's not something I've particularly found too much. Morning, Pam, how are you? Is that my recipe, Pam, or is that a different recipe? I wasn't sure whether you've bought my recipe, that was all. I did have enough sugar. Yes, I did, thankfully. We got everything baked that needed to be baked. The only thing I don't have enough of is the ganache for the outside of the Prue cake. So I will have to get some more chocolate for that today. I'm thinking about it, I was going to do it on the schoolroom, but I've got to collect 3 children, so maybe that wouldn't be a really good idea. by the way, I'm not saying get mine, it will work perfectly, but I'm just saying, I just didn't know whether, you know, if you were saying like mine isn't rising, then obviously I probably could help a bit more than if it's just another one, if that makes sense. Yeah, they did actually. They were absolutely fine, Becca, considering I was a little bit worried that they were just going to not work because they were so wet, but they were fine. We'll get them out in a minute and ice them. And then get those frozen in the freezer, get them out the way. One job done for next week. I'm like Tuesday Charlotte is going to be so happy with me. She's going to be like, oh my god, Friday Charlotte was so good to this week. She was really good to me. Normally Tuesday Charlotte is cursing Friday Charlotte. So, you know, maybe she might stay employed for a little bit. I don't have split personalities, by the way. Although I sometimes wonder. Okay, chocky buttercream. Oh, it's chockying. That's fine. All my sponge recipes are oil-based apart from my carrot and cherry. That's funny because all of mine are mainly sponge-based apart from my carrot, which is oil-based. A red velvet, all of my others, if they have oil in them, they've also got butter in them or spread in them. Whereas my carrot is a wholly oil-based sponge. All the others are not, which is interesting because it's the opposite way around. Hi, is it really hard to paint with a palette knife on fondant with No, absolutely not. I do it a lot. It's really easy. Just make sure your ganache is the right consistency. I still use the same ratio, my 3:1 ratio that I use for covering cakes. So I don't make any special ganache up. I just usually use what's left over from the cake or make a little bit extra when you're making the covering ganache. But no, it's absolutely fine to do it on fondant. Not a problem at all. Ready dookie, skipperoo. Chocolate and salted caramel. I was thinking it's quite rare to have a non-oil based carrot cake. I mean, I'm sure you can, I'm not saying you can't, but normally of all of the flavours, that is the one that's most oil based. That's funny. I only have use of the one hand, so I find it hard to pipe flowers. Absolutely, I completely get that. You could try filling the bag less for piping, because I agree, like when you're piping, if you've got quite a full piping bag, it can be practically hard. It's just impossible to do with one hand. But if I've got a smaller filled piping bag, so I haven't got as much in there, which you wouldn't actually need too much for like piping flowers and things, then just don't fill the bag as much. So there's much less in there and you should find it much easier to do with just one hand. I usually do that anyway for piping flowers because I find that I've got more control in a smaller bag with one hand than I have with like trying to pipe with two hands. I genuinely find piping with two hands quite like, my favourite word, galumphy, I think is what I'd use to describe it. Like it's just a bit clumpy. I really struggle. So I prefer to have less in the piping bag anyway, regardless. So we've got a chocolate buttercream and then we're going to add our salted caramel. This is homemade salted caramel. Caramel of the salted variety. Freshly made. Cumbersome. No, I like galumphy. I think it's a better word. Cumbersome probably is technically the right word, but I like galumphy. I don't know what it means, but it's the word I'm going to use. Just feels a bit galumphy. Might patent that word. Caramel. Oh, it's lovely and quiet. Telly's off, music's off, just hearing my own thoughts. It is a new word. Galumphy. It'll be in the Urban Dictionary soon, I reckon. Galumphy. When cake makers think something is just a little bit cumbersome. Salted caramel will keep in the fridge, I'd keep it for 2 weeks, absolutely fine. In the freezer for 6 months. So yeah, it will last a long time. Obviously, everything's been cooked because you've cooked it to create it. So you don't need to worry about that side of things with it. So I will probably keep anything we've got left over from this cake. Will I? I'm just trying to work out whether I save Harry's cake next weekend, but do I want to waste salted caramel? Like, I feel that's a luxury on a load of 5-year-old children, 4-year-old children. No, I really don't. So maybe we won't put it in Harry's cake and I will freeze it. I feel like it's the sort of one you don't want to waste on the kids. Yes, this one is buttercream going in the middle. Yeah, American buttercream. Obviously, if I wanted to make this runnier, I could just heat it up slightly to make it slightly runnier. But to be honest, I don't mind having it slightly more. This is obviously what it's like at room temperature. So when this cake comes to room temperature, it will be this firm. So it's kind of like, it will be almost, you know, I can spread it, but it's not really, really runny. If I was to microwave it for like 10 seconds, it would probably go a lot runnier if it was easier for people to use. But then when it goes in the fridge, it will go quite firm, which is good. But obviously we always tell people to eat the cakes at room temperature, not fridge temperature, especially the chocolate cakes. They absolutely, I mean, they're fine. They taste, obviously they taste good, but definitely not the same experience as if you let them come up to room temperature, these chocolate cakes, before you eat them. That's definitely the better option. What I always say to people, obviously a wedding, you don't need to worry about that because they will have been out for hours anyway. Da, 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 da. It's weird having my husband home on Friday. I don't think I like it. So he has requested a dragon on a cake. So obviously that's not what I'm making him. No, I am making him a dragon on a cake. But, you know, he just wants a dragon on top of a cake, which that is what I'm doing. But obviously it needs to be like an amazing dragon on a really cool cake. It can't just be a dragon on a cake. So, yeah. We are doing a dragon on a cake. Which I need to start planning, really, and working out how the hell I'm going to do it. I'm trying to decide whether to do a dummy as the cake, or some of the cake, not all of it, but what I want to do, because it's going to be a very tall square cake. It's not square, is it? Well, it is a square, rectangular cake, shall we say. A very tall cake that is of straight side variety with 4 sides. I am a little bit worried that if I did it all cake, it would just be too big. So I might order a dummy this weekend so that I can do like half dummy, half cake with it. And I potentially then could, what do you call it? Make the dragon. Could I make the dragon beforehand and put it on the dummy bit and then put that on the cake? Oh, I don't know actually. I don't know if that'll work. Our flights for CI were changed again for way home, so would, oh no! So we've got them changed to Monday morning. Ah, I love that. I will not miss the Sunday of Cake International. Open sesame. Ganache on there. hate when they just change flights. It just annoys me. It's like as if the people don't have plans that they're flying for. Oh, you'll be okay just to do it a day later, won't you? Or a day earlier. It's like, no, that's the whole point. The plans do not allow for that. Otherwise, I would have booked the morning of for my flight. So annoying, isn't it? New Ireland, Pam. Are you Northern or Republic of? Right. These are 5 inches, these ones. This is a 579 cake rather than a 468, which is my usual. So these are slightly bigger. So let's get ganaching. I will have to go and mount this down slightly. Schmamischen. But yeah, like I say, I don't actually trust these spirit levels anyway. They're a pile of crap. They always tell me things are on level when they're not, or they tell me they're not when they are. So quite honestly, I've got bubble issues. What sounds like a fly buzzing? Oh, okay. Is it the sound of silence, Becca? It's very unusual in my house. I absolutely love it. I was cooking tea yesterday and the music had gone off and I was just cooking tea in silence and my husband arrived back and was like, are you okay? Why is it so quiet? Oh, it could have been the microwave. Yeah, that's true, because I had that going. I was just, yeah, loving just nothing. The sound of nothing. Nothing. Okay, I've got a shit ton of ganache left. Why have I got so much ganache left? Did I not calculate properly? Well, it doesn't matter. I will use it, but why have I got so much left? This is ganache we're covering with now. I could probably eat that cake in one sitting. Absolutely. Probably. So could I. So first of all, I'm basically just going to make it reasonably flush to the board that's underneath, the drum that's underneath, and then we will kind of add another thin layer just to make sure the board is covered, because fondant doesn't stick well to boards, so you don't really want the board to be exposed if you can avoid it. I'm very glad the chaos of an hour ago has gone now, where it's like 1,000 people on asking questions. It's like, that's literally how my brain is like, leave me alone. Have a nice day. No, I won't be on much longer, Becca. I've just literally got this cake to do, and then I've got to just quickly add some buttercream swirls to Harry's mini cupcakes, and then I'm done for the day. But I'll be back on tomorrow. We will be fondanting the cake and probably starting on the Prue cake tomorrow, I think, as well. So if you're around, make sure you join me then. Can't tell you a time because obviously I've got the kids at home tomorrow, so I might see if we can get up in the morning, go and do something, you know, try and wear them out a little bit so that I don't feel bad about working in the afternoon then. Yeah, I think that's what I'll probably do. So it'll probably be in the afternoon time that I'll be on. Have a good day yourself. Hello Omar, welcome to the party. How are you? I did use raspberry, not strawberry, yes. Also, Omar, is the turntable still pinned to this video? We had a bit of a flurry, crazy moment earlier where I pinned it because people were asking about it. But I don't know whether it disappears. So it was on the basket or something somewhere, but I can't see the same view as everybody else, so I don't know where it is. Still there. Fabulous. Thank you, Pam. Busy morning. I was going to say, Omar, you didn't clock in. You know, that'll be docked from your wages. Just bear that in mind, okay? I would just like to point out that Omar is an unpaid volunteer. Shh. I need to be nice to him. Thank you for buying the turntables, guys. Somebody said earlier that, so it's currently up at £22. By the way, this obviously, yeah, I do get a little bit of money when you click through from that link, but like, I'm saying this from the perspective of get it, it's friggin' cheap. It's this one I'm using right now. It's £22, but someone actually said that they got it for £16 with other vouchers that they could add on as well. So like £16. And you don't even just get the turntable, you get a whole set with it. Now don't get me wrong, the set is not the highest quality set you're ever going to get in your life. It really isn't. But there are some useful bits in there, to be fair to it. But I would pay 20 quid just for the turntable alone, happily, with my eyes closed. So quite honestly, anything else I suppose is just a bit of a bonus, I guess. That's true, you are in a different country, so you probably can't see it. Absolutely, that's probably right, actually. 25 with extras, it's a bargain. Yeah, oh, does it, Nikki? Yeah, I mean, exactly, even with that, it's like, it is a bargain. Yeah, somebody said that when they then went on to checkout, they had like vouchers, but that could have just been them individually that made it like £16. So I don't know whether that's for everybody or whether that's just like individual people have different amounts, I'm not sure. Don't know on that one. But it's worth a look, isn't it, if you're looking for a turntable or you want to upgrade from your plastic one. Have you guys met in person? No, we haven't. No. We have not. We'll have to, you know, if I get really famous on TikTok, we'll have like a mods meetup, I reckon, you know? I've got to get really famous first though. I always ganache either both layers or I ganache then fondant. I don't use buttercream. Just so nice. He's my virtual PA. Yep. That's what he is. My virtual PA. Unpaid virtual PA. Exactly, Dylan. You absolutely are. I might bring some cake, if you're lucky. Alright, I've just got a few little bits to tidy up and then I think we're pretty much done with this one too. funny thing is, in this day and age, like when somebody's like, I'm an online stalker, we're like, ha 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 ha, and I'm like, oh my god, he could be, you never know. I don't think you are, it's okay, I trust you. You know how, because, you know, you're a million miles away. He's in a different country, we'll be okay. It's funny, isn't it, how we do all this stuff with people that we've never even met. I get a vibe from people. I know quite soon whether or not they're like worth my time. Omar is a workhorse. Why do you prefer freehand smaller tiers and use ganache plates on the larger? So if I was actually ganaching this with a ganache top coat, I would actually also freehand the bottom tiers as well. But because I'm adding fondant to it, and especially with this cake, because this cake is very plain, so it has to be spot on with the lines and everything. I just find like ganache plates leave absolutely no room for error, like zero room for error. So by using ganache plates, I know that the cake is going to be straight, flat, smooth. Everything is going to be absolutely perfect. Thank you for the sparks. Thank you, May. So that is like what I like with the bigger tiers. And I just find that getting the bigger tiers absolutely perfect isn't as easy as the smaller tiers. The smaller tiers are a lot easier. Obviously, ganache dries faster than buttercream, so the bigger tiers you are kind of working on a bit more of a time scale, whereas with the smaller tiers I don't find it is. And then almost like opposite to that, the smaller tiers I find quite faffy with ganache plates, so I prefer, it's quicker, it's easier just to do them freehand. So I can freehand the bigger ones, and I do for ganache finished cakes, but for fondant finished cakes I just like that peace of mind that ganache plates bring me when I'm going to be covering them in fondant, and I know that they're going to be very like exposed. Most of the time with ganache plates, ganache finished cakes, they are, because they want a slightly more rustic vibe to them. So I'm not saying, yeah, that's fine, you don't have to do straight cakes, but it's not as noticeable. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, that's why. But should I one day lose my ganache plates and not be able to do it, I would just do them all freehand. It wouldn't be a problem. Thank you for the Go Popular. Yeah, it just gives a little bit of peace of mind, I think sometimes ganache plates do. Obviously you can use them with buttercream as well, it's not just ganache, you can use them with buttercream. What I would recommend if you're doing them with ganache or buttercream as a ganache or buttercream finished cake is do your crumb coat with the ganache plates and then add your top coat off, because you've already got that lovely base to work with, so it's much easier. If you really struggle to get round cakes, that is what I would recommend. Do the crumb coat with ganache plates and then take the ganache plates off to do your top coat. So you're kind of starting with a really round base, so you should, within reason, be able to get a decent top coat because you've already got that nice base there ready. I think we're done on this one. I will be doing a ganache plate demo in the new year, but I was going to do it in January or February, but then I realised the problem with ganache plate demos is I kind of have to do a tiered cake in order to show you all the different bits in the time frame, and I don't want to make a tiered cake that isn't for something. So most of the time when I do my ganache plate demos, I do them on a wedding cake, so you can see I can use a full 3-tier cake to show you all the elements needed, and you know, I'm not wasting 3 tiers of a cake, I'm doing it on an actual proper wedding cake. So when I get a bit more of an idea of weddings next year and when they're going to be, I can then schedule in a ganache plating demo, which will basically be doing everything we've done, but I will be talking you through all my hints and tips, top tips and all of that, and going through the process, talking about it properly, whereas I'm, you know, obviously a little bit more vague when I'm not doing that on here. There we go. She is done, I think. Too much perfectionist. Right. now I'm just going to pop this in the fridge, and we will just quickly buttercream the mini cupcakes. Then I'll get them in the freezer, and then we're done for the day. I think we're going to go take the dogs for a walk. Get them out of the house, get me out of the house. Go a little bit stir crazy in this house. I'm sure I'll manage. I'd like to think that there will be a level of networking with her. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're going to a women in hospitality networking event. I feel like, you know, you kind of need to network with the person that's there as like a guest, don't you? Stranger danger. Please get this woman away from me. She keeps trying to force feed me chocolate cake. You never know. Curveball. Curveball. How much of a curveball would this be? She could be like, oh my God, you're Charlotte from Perfect Cakes. That would be funny. I mean, don't believe it would happen, but how much of a curveball would that be? What if she came up to me and said, can I have a selfie with you? I'd be like, no. I charge 50 quid for a selfie. Wishful thinking there. You never know. You do never know. I agree. Never, never know. Strange things have happened. That'll be me at CI. Better make sure I put on my best clothing and my best makeup then, hadn't I, Pam? Exactly. I don't think she will. But you never know. Stranger things have happened, haven't they? Right. How much of a sugar high should we put these kids on? I'll be like, do you not know who I am? She'll be like, what do you do? I make perfect cakes. Are they cute? So this is what I use for if I'm doing like wedding fairs, showcases and things. I take these as my little mini tasters because they're super quick and easy to do. They're a perfect like single mouthful, so people can just easy. You don't have to worry about touching them because obviously they've got the cases and things, which is a lot easier. Very little maintenance to make, and these particular ones are for my children, or not children, Harry. It's his birthday next week, and apparently you have to send in cake on your own child's birthday for them to share out with all their friends. So I thought these would be the perfect option for that. How do you estimate how many to take? Do you know how many are going to be at the fair? Normally they have an idea of numbers that are registered. That is normally numbers of people, not normal numbers of couples. Does that make sense? So they'll be like, we've got 500, but actually it's like 100 useful people. So I would always work to slightly less, quite a few less than what they have scheduled, because the fact is, I've never yet run out ever of tasters at a show. In fact, I always have them left over, even when I've had a really busy time. People don't normally take more than one. Sometimes other family members won't take one at all. And if they're on your stand when you're there, if you're going to be there with them, the one up here don't have, oh really? Are you going to be there, Pam? Or are they just going to be on the stand and people help themselves? Because if you're going to be there, I wouldn't do many. Like, are you doing pots, are you? Because effectively, especially when they're in things like pots, people won't actively just take one. They will wait to be asked and handed one. And realistically, you only want to be giving them out to people who are actually genuinely interested. I don't know why I'm putting this around the scissors as if it's some sort of showpiece. You only want to give them to people who are interested. Don't be wasting your money and your cake on people who are just looking for free cake, because there will be many of them there. So, you know, don't offer cake straight away. have a chat with people, and then if you get the vibe that they are happy and they would like to, you know, if they're giving you a more serious vibe, then absolutely be like, would you like a pot of cake? So if I were you, I would, is it a wedding fair or a showcase? I would probably take like, if it's a fair that usually has big subscriptions, they must be able to say how many they've had in the past. Like, is there on anywhere saying like what the subscriptions have been in the past or anything? Previous years. I mean, how they don't know that, I don't know, it's crazy. But yeah, what I would say is I would take 30 to 50 pots, personally, if it's a big fair. If it's quite a small fair, 20 to 30 pots. And then only give them to people who are serious. Honestly, it's not worth the waste. Like, you don't want to be giving them to their children and them. And you know what I mean? It's just not worth it. It's absolutely not worth it. So be quite selective of who you give them to. That's what I normally do. Only people who I'm like, you're genuinely serious. Am I going to give you a cake? I'm not wasting. So if they say we've already got a cake maker, they're not getting a cake. If they say, you can just get a vibe from people, whether they're genuinely interested or not. If they're like, oh, we don't have a very big budget for our cake, and you know that they're not going to be able to afford your cakes, don't give them a cake. I know that sounds bad, but it's true. They're not going to. It's wasting your money and time. The fact is, if you run out, you run out. I would rather run out than have loads and loads left over. Don't get me wrong, you can freeze them. And if you've got other things coming up, then absolutely that's fine, because like freezing them's fine. But if you haven't really got anything else in the pipeline that you can use them for, and you don't really want them left over, then do less. Save them for the lucky few. You do need to be stricter. Don't just offer them out. Don't just be like, do you want a cake? Do you want a cake? You know, giving someone a cake isn't a sales tactic. What I mean by that is, absolutely, it might top the sale off if they like your cakes, but you've got to sell you and your business first. The cakes are like a bonus to seal the deal. The cakes are not there as the selling point. You need to sell you and your business first as your main selling point. And then when they're hooked, you can then be like, would you like to try a cake? Because obviously, absolutely. Or if people say things like, oh, you know, we weren't thinking about cake because, you know, nobody ever eats it, or they don't taste very good. That's another reason why you can give them cake, to try and be like, no, but they do. Try it. Here we go. But yeah, be stricter. Like, don't just offer them out. Don't be like, do you want a cake? If people are lingering and not talking to you, right, that's a sign that they're probably not interested. So then saying to them, do you want to come over and have a cake? They're just going to eat your cake and leave, and they'll listen to you to be polite, but that's about it. If they're not actively coming to speak to you, they're not interested. They're not interested. That's the way, I mean, I've learned this over the years. Obviously, I've done a lot of wedding fairs back in the day, and I do only showcases now. I don't do wedding fairs anymore. And even at showcases, I am not wasting my breath anymore on people that I know are not interested. Like, it's not worth it. You're not going to sell it to them by just giving them a nice slice of cake. It's not going to work, because realistically, if they didn't want one, they've already got one, blah, blah, they're not going to buy it, regardless of whether they like it or not. You need to almost have in your head, what are your USPs for your business? Like, what sells your business? My leading statement to people at wedding fairs and, showcases, which makes me laugh a lot because it's completely counteractive to selling. My first question to people is, have you thought about a cake? And if they say no, and their wedding is, you know, in the next year, I'll be like, you know, is a cake a priority to you? Like, do you feel like it's an important part of your day? And if they say no, we just need a cake, I literally say to them, might not be your cake maker. I'll obviously happily talk to you about it, but the fact is, my cakes aren't cheap. They're not the cheapest you're going to find. You will definitely find someone cheaper than me to make you a more basic cake. And if a cake is not a priority, I'm absolutely not your cake maker. I'm always very honest. And a lot of the time, sometimes I've had people book me still because they're like, we actually really like your honesty and we don't mind spending more, and we actually really like your cakes and we like what you do, and you know, that sort of thing. How to register as a home business with the council? Do I need permission from the landlord? If you are renting, I think you do, yes. I I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure you do, yes. So I would definitely, I don't know whether the council require the permission. The insurance will definitely require permission, and you'll need to get public liability insurance. And I definitely think they will require permission from the homeowner. But yeah, there we go. Leah said, I'd be surprised if you didn't, put it that way. So yeah, I would definitely do it anyway. Yeah, you can freeze them with buttercream on, Pam. You can freeze buttercream once, so it'll be absolutely fine. So I freeze my tasting cake slices. You know, my tasters, I do the square ones. I freeze those when I make a batch and I've got any left over, and then I just get them out and send them out if I've got any, you know, ad hoc ones, and they're absolutely fine. You just wouldn't want them to be refrozen, but nobody's going to refreeze those, refreeze the taster pots, so you'd be fine. What if the landlord says no? Move? Genuinely, that is, if the landlord says no, you're going to struggle. You really are. Maybe think about how you're going to frame it to your landlord, you know, and explain things like you're not going to have people coming in and out of the house. You're not, do you see what I mean? Like doorstep collections or deliveries. Like you just need to basically frame it so that they understand that it's not going to affect anything to do with your life. You know, there's not going to be extra people on the premises all the time. You're not going to have this, that and the other. You're just using your kitchen. So I think just have a think about how you approach them. Yeah, excuse me, I do own my house, thank you very much. What do I say to couples? What do I say to couples about what? What do I say to couples about what? Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. What do couples say being in... I'm lost. I like what you say to couples. Yeah, it's true though. Like, I think couples really respect complete and utter honesty. And I'm not wasting their time. They're not wasting my time with something that I know they're not interested in and they know they're not interested in. Like, I'm not going to sell myself to somebody who doesn't want to buy my products. There's absolutely no point, because they will absolutely find someone. And I think when you say things to people like, I'm not the cheapest cake maker you're going to find around, like you absolutely will find it cheaper. What I sell now is my service. I literally sell my service. I usually say to people like, I'm not the cheapest. I can guarantee you'll get an amazing cake. And obviously if the more architectural, sculptural, individual, personal style is what you want, something more unique, then absolutely I can make you an incredible cake. If you want a basic buttercream semi-naked cake, obviously I don't do buttercream anyway, but you know, there will be someone cheaper. Obviously what I offer and the reason my prices are slightly higher is which is, you know, my sketches, my videos of your cake afterwards, the USB sticks, like the service I offer is how I sell my business now, because the cakes sell themselves. If somebody wants my cake, they'll buy my cake. They, you know, if they want that design, that will sell itself. I'm then selling like what I offer. It's an experience. I take all of that stress of the wedding cake process. I can't take the whole wedding stress, but I definitely take the process that is stressful to do with the wedding cake off your shoulders. And I will make sure you know everything. I will share all the information. The consultation's really exhaustive, so you won't go away with questions. You will literally go away knowing what you need to do. You'll know what I will be doing, and everything is just very smooth and professional, that there will be no level of stress with regards to your wedding cake within your wedding. That's what I say to them, and people like that. And if they don't like that, they'll go to someone cheaper who doesn't offer that, and that's absolutely fine. Do you think the cake business market has become saturated? It's the way it's always been, no different. It's exactly the same now. In fact, I'd actually say it's probably better now than it was, because a lot of people have stopped because of the rise in ingredients and living costs and things like that. A lot of people who were doing it poorly will have stopped because they can't sustain it anymore. So actually I would say it's probably better now than it was, less saturated now than it was, but it's always been a saturated market, and this is why you have to work out what is your USP, what is the thing that makes you stand out over Karen down the road. And there is a cake maker for everybody. I don't sell locally particularly anymore, because generally people want a cheap cake, they will go to various cheaper cake makers around me. But I know that, you know, my selling point is my painted cakes, what I offer, the service I offer, and the quality of my cakes. And if people want that, they will come to me. So you really have to work out what your USP is and differentiate yours from the others. And then you will be absolutely fine. You will do a great job. Yeah, oil-based colours for chocolate. Thank you very much, Nell. Thank you. Need to work on selling skills. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, Pam, I could sell snow to an Eskimo. I like selling. I've worked in sales a lot. You can use gel colours for chocolate ganache, yes, but not for chocolate on its own. Right, I'm going to go because I'm all done. So we've done our mini cupcakes. I will be back on tomorrow, probably in the afternoon then, and we will fondant that cake, the 3-tier wedding cake, and we will probably get started on the Prue cake as well, which is currently in the freezer because it's for Monday, so that will be fine, 2 days out. I think the thing is to say is you're not there comparing yourself to other people. You're not there to say, oh, well, you could choose another one, but you could choose me. They do this, but I do this. You know, you're there to just say what you do, and they can do the comparison. If you're offering them good quality stuff, you know, you sell you. Don't worry about what other people do. You sell you. You don't have to say in comparison. Obviously, I say that because there is cheaper cake makers. It's just a fact. But at no point would I be like, but they won't do their cakes very well. They won't do this. I say what I do above and beyond as opposed to what they don't do. Does that make sense? Like, I don't say, well, they don't do this, they don't do that. I just say, this is what I do. This is why my prices are slightly more. And this is exactly it.